The fluorescent lights hum like dying wasps. The courtroom is sterile, institutional, the kind of place where dreams go to die. Judge Patricia. Stern, 50s, sharp and efficient, presides from the bench. Her American flag pin catches the harsh light. At the defense table, 3 families sit in obvious distress. Maria Santos, 40s, clutches her teenage daughter's hand. Hassan al-Rashid, 60s, stares at papers he cannot read. Elena Kozlov, 30s, holds a sleeping infant against her chest. Their lawyers shuffle through files. But something is wrong. The court translator's booth is empty. Judge Stern. Where is Mr. Rodriguez? We have 3 separate cases requiring translation services. Court clerk. He called in sick, Your Honor. We couldn't find a replacement on such short notice. Judge Stern. Then we'll have to postpone. These people have been waiting 6 months for their hearings. In the back of the courtroom, almost invisible, CLINT EASTWOOD, 74, sits with the quiet stillness of a man who has learned to watch and listen. He's here for a friend's citizenship ceremony, but that ended an hour ago. Now he's watching something else entirely. The 3 families begin to panic. Maria starts crying. Hassan's hands shake as he tries to understand what's happening. Elena rocks her baby faster, whispering prayers in Russian. Judge Stern. Contid. I'm sorry, but without proper translation services, we cannot proceed. These cases are rescheduled for... A voice speaks from the corner of the room. Quiet, measured, with the weight of authority earned through decades of experience. Voice. OS. Your Honor. All eyes turn to see Vicente Morales, 62, emerge from the shadows near the back wall. He wears the gray uniform of building maintenance, a janitor's cart beside him. His weathered hands hold a mop, but his eyes hold something else entirely. Intelligence, compassion, and a deep understanding of human suffering. Judge Stern. Sir, this is a closed courtroom proceeding. Vicente. I know, Your Honor. I've been cleaning these halls for 15 years. I know what happens when people can't speak for themselves. Vicente sets down his mop and approaches the bench with quiet dignity. Vicente. Conted. I can help. Judge Stern. I'm sorry, but court translation requires certified Vicente Spanish, Arabic, and Russian. I can translate for all 3 families. The courtroom falls silent. Judge Stern stares at this janitor who has just claimed to speak 3 languages fluently. Judge Stern. Mr. Vicente Morales. Vicente Morales. Judge Stern. Mr. Morales, court translation is a specialized field requiring certification, and Vicente Mrs. Santos is afraid they'll separate her from her daughter. Mr. Al-Rashid doesn't understand why his asylum application was denied when he has scars from torture. Mrs. Kozlov is wondering if her baby will grow up stateless. Judge Stern's expression shifts. Vicente has been listening, understanding all along. Vicente. Contid. I may push a mop, Your Honor, but I understand their words. More importantly, I understand their hearts. Clint leans forward, his weathered face etched with curiosity. There's something about this janitor that doesn't fit, the way he carries himself, the precision of his language, the depth of his knowledge. Judge Stern. Sir, even if you do speak these languages, you're not certified by the court system. I cannot allow... Maria Santos, in Spanish, desperate. Por favor, señor juez. Mi hija tiene que ir a la escuela mañana. No puede perderse más clases. Vicente steps forward and translates smoothly. Vicente. She says, please, Judge. Her daughter has to go to school tomorrow. She cannot miss any more classes. Hassan al-Rashid, in Arabic, broken. I have documents. Papers that prove what they did to me. Vicente, translating. He says he has documents. Papers that prove what was done to him. Elena Kozlov, in Russian, whispering. My baby is American. Born here. She deserves better than this. Vicente, translating. She says her baby is American. Born here. She deserves better than this. The precision, the nuance, the emotional weight. Vicente isn't just translating words. He's translating pain, hope, and desperation with the skill of someone who has lived it himself. Judge Stern looks from the families to Vicente, then to the empty translator's booth. She makes a decision that will change everything. Judge Stern. Mr. Morales, I'm going to do something highly irregular. I'm going to allow you to provide translation services for these proceedings, but I want to make it clear that this is a one-time exception. Vicente. I understand, Your Honor. Judge Stern. And if I discover any inaccuracies in your translations, these proceedings will be immediately suspended. Vicente. You won't, Your Honor. As Vicente takes his place near the witness stand, Clint studies him with the intensity of a man who has learned to read people's stories in their posture, their scars, their silences. Int. Federal Courthouse, Immigration Court, continuous. For the next hour, Vicente moves between languages with fluid grace. He doesn't just translate, he becomes a bridge between worlds, carrying not just words, but emotion, context, and meaning across the vast divide between those who have power and those who are powerless. Judge Stern. Mrs. Santos, can you explain to the court why you believe you should be granted asylum? Vicente translates to Spanish. Maria responds, her voice breaking. Maria Santos, in Spanish. They killed my husband because he wrote for the newspaper. Because he told the truth about what the government was doing to our people. They said I was next. They said they would hurt my daughter. Vicente, translating. They killed her husband because he was a journalist, because he reported the truth about government corruption. They threatened her and her daughter. Judge Stern. Mrs. Santos, do you have any documentation to support these claims? Vicente translates. Maria pulls out a worn envelope, her hands shaking. Maria Santos, in Spanish, his last article. Published the day before they murdered him. And this is the threat they left under our door. Vicente examines the documents, his face growing pale. When he translates, his voice carries new weight. Vicente. She has her husband's final article, published the day before his murder, and a written death threat that was left at their home. But as Vicente reads the death threat, something changes in his expression. Recognition, pain, old wounds reopening. Meanwhile, Clint has moved closer, drawn by something he can't quite name. From his new position, he can see Vicente's hands as he holds the documents. On the back of his left hand, barely visible beneath his sleeve, is the edge of a tattoo. Numbers in a style that Clint recognizes. Judge Stern. Mr. Al-Rashid, can you tell the court about the circumstances that led you to seek asylum in the United States? Vicente turns to Hassan and translates. Hassan's response is halting, painful. Hassan al-Rashid, in Arabic, I was a translator. For the American forces. For 5 years I helped soldiers communicate with civilians. I believed in the mission. I believed in democracy. Vicente, translating. He was a translator for American forces for 5 years. He believed in the mission and in democracy. Hassan al-Rashid, in Arabic, continuing. But when the Americans left, I became a target. They said I was a traitor. They tortured me. Look. Hassan rolls up his sleeve, revealing burn scars on his forearm. Vicente, translating, his voice tight. When American forces withdrew, he became a target. He was branded a traitor and tortured for helping Americans. Vicente's hands tremble slightly as he translates Hassan's words. Clint notices the tremor, notices how Vicente's breathing has changed. There's something personal here, something that cuts deep. Judge Stern. Mrs. Kozlov, can you explain your situation to the court? Vicente turns to Elena and translates. Elena responds while gently rocking her baby. Elena Kozlov, in Russian. I came here to study. I was a medical student. I met my husband at university. We fell in love. When the war started in my country, my family was killed. My husband died in a car accident before our daughter was born. Now I have nothing. No family, no country, no future. Only her. Vicente, translating, his voice breaking slightly. She came here as a medical student. She met her husband at university. Her family was killed in the war in her home country. Her husband died in a car accident before their daughter was born. She says she has nothing now except her child. As Vicente translates Elena's story, tears stream down his face. He quickly wipes them away, but not before Clint sees them, not before Judge Stern sees them, not before the three families see them. Judge Stern, Mr. Morales, are you all right? Vicente, yes, Your Honor. These stories, they remind me of other stories, other people who needed someone to speak for them. Judge Stern, take a moment if you need to. Vicente composes himself, but Clint has seen enough. This man isn't just a janitor who happens to speak multiple languages. This man is carrying his own story, his own pain, his own secrets. Int. Federal Courthouse, Immigration Court, continuing. For the next hour, Vicente moves between languages with fluid grace. He Hallway, evening. The hearings are over. Judge Stern has granted asylum to all three families, a rare occurrence that she attributes to the eloquence and accuracy of Vicente's translations. The families gather around Vicente, thanking him in their native languages, embracing him like he's family. But Vicente is exhausted, emotionally drained. He leans against his janitor's cart, the weight of the day heavy on his shoulders. Clint approaches slowly, his footsteps echoing in the empty hallway. Clint. That was something. Vicente looks up, surprised to find anyone still in the building. Vicente just doing what needed to be done. Clint. Most people would say that's not your job. Vicente, most people don't understand what it means to need someone to speak for you when you can't speak for yourself. Clint studies Vicente's face, noting the intelligence in his eyes, the way he carries himself despite the custodial uniform. Clint. You're not really a janitor, are you? Vicente's expression hardens. Vicente. I clean floors. I empty trash. I fix broken things. What would you call that? Clint. I'd call it a man who's hiding something. Vicente. Everyone's hiding something. Clint. Not everyone can translate three languages simultaneously while carrying the emotional weight of three families' futures. Vicente begins pushing his cart down the hallway, but Clint follows. Clint. Con TD. That tattoo on your hand. Those numbers. I've seen them before. Vicente stops walking. Vicente. You don't know what you're talking about. CLINT prisoner of war identification. Southeast Asia, I'd guess. Vietnam era. Vicente's shoulders sag slightly. Clint, Contid. You were a translator then too, weren't you? A long silence fills the hallway. Finally, Vicente speaks. Vicente. I was captured in 1971. Held for 18 months. They wanted information about American troop movements, communication protocols. They thought because I could speak their language, I would betray my country. Clint. But you didn't. Vicente. No, I didn't. Clint. That's why you understand what those people are going through. That's why you couldn't just stand by and watch. Vicente turns to face Clint directly. Vicente. You know what it's like to watch someone drowning in words they can't understand? To see them begging for help in a language no one bothers to learn. To watch dignity die because of silence? Clint. I know what it's like to watch good people suffer because of other people's indifference. Vicente. Then you know why I had to help. They stand in the empty hallway, two old warriors who have seen too much, carried too much, and still choose to fight for what's right. Clint. What happened after you came back? Vicente. What happens to most of us? I tried to go back to my old life. I was a linguistics professor before the war. Georgetown University. I spoke 7 languages, specialized in cross-cultural communication. Clint and? Vicente and I couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't stand in front of privileged students and teach them about the beauty of language when I'd seen what happens when language becomes a barrier to survival. Vicente resumes walking, his cartwheel squeaking on the polished floor. Vicente, Conti D. I started drinking, lost my job, lost my family, lost myself. Ended up on the streets for 3 years before I got clean. Clint, how long have you been working here? Vicente, 15 years, cleaning up other people's messes, listening to other people's stories, watching other people's dreams get crushed by bureaucracy and indifference. Clint, and today you decided you'd had enough. Vicente, today I decided that silence is complicity. They reach the building's exit. Through the glass doors, the setting sun paints the sky in shades of amber and gold. Clint Vicente. Vicente, yes? Clint. Those families in there. They don't know your story. They don't know what you sacrificed to help them. But I do. Vicente, I don't need recognition. Clint. No, but you deserve it. Vicente. What I deserve is to sleep peacefully for the first time in 40 years, knowing I finally used my gift for something good. Vicente pushes through the doors and into the fading light. Clint follows. EXT. Federal Courthouse. Evening. The courthouse steps are empty except for Vicente and Clint. In the distance, the 3 families walk toward their cars, their children laughing, their futures suddenly bright with possibility. Clint. What will you do now? Vicente, go home. Come back tomorrow. Clean more floors. Listen to more stories. Clint. That's not what I meant. Vicente sits on the courthouse steps, suddenly looking every one of his 62 years. Vicente, I know what you meant, but this is my life now. I'm not a professor anymore. I'm not a soldier anymore. I'm just an old man who pushes a mop and remembers what it was like to matter. Clint, you mattered today. You mattered in a way that most people never will. Vicente, for one day. For 3 families. In a building where 1,000 other families will come seeking the same help. And I won't be there to give it. Clint sits beside Vicente on the steps. Clint, you know, I spent most of my life thinking that heroism was about big gestures, grand moments, the kind of thing that gets you medals and newspaper headlines. Vicente, and now? Clint, now I think heroism is about knowing when to stop being invisible. Vicente looks at Clint, really seeing him for the first time. Vicente, you're not just some random guy who happened to be in that courtroom, are you? Clint, does it matter? Vicente, I guess it doesn't. They sit in comfortable silence as the sun continues its descent toward the horizon. Clint, Vicente, I want to ask you something and I want you to think before you answer. Vicente, all right. Clint, if you could teach again, if you could use your gift to help people on a larger scale, would you want to? Vicente, what do you mean? Clint, I mean, there are programs, organizations that need people with your skills, immigration lawyers who need translators they can trust, refugee organizations that need people who understand what it means to lose everything and start over. Vicente, I'm 62 years old. I'm a janitor with a drinking problem and 18 months of PTSD that I never properly dealt with. Clint, you're also the most skilled translator I've ever seen. And you just proved that you have the courage to stand up when it matters. Vicente stands and looks out at the city beyond the courthouse steps. Vicente, why do you care? Clint, because 47 years ago, someone stood up for me when I couldn't stand up for myself. Someone used their gift to save my life. And I've been looking for ways to pay that forward ever since. Vicente, and you think this is it? Clint, I think you saved 3 families today. I think you have the power to save a lot more. And I think you deserve the chance to find out who you really are when you're not hiding behind a mop and a uniform. Vicente turns back to Clint, and for the first time, there's hope in his eyes. Vicente, what would I have to do? Clint, first, you'd have to get your life completely together. Sobriety, therapy, dealing with whatever demons you've been carrying. Then you'd have to get recertified as a translator. Then you'd have to be willing to put yourself out there again, to be visible, to be vulnerable. Vicente, that's a lot of work for an old janitor. Clint, that's a lot of work for an old hero. Vicente considers this, looking back at the courthouse where 3 families' lives were changed forever. Vicente, if I did this, if I tried, would you help me? Clint, every step of the way. Vicente, why? Clint, because everyone deserves a second chance. Because your story isn't over yet. And because those 3 families are just the beginning. Vicente picks up his mop from the janitor's cart and looks at it for a long moment. Vicente, I've been hiding for 15 years. Clint, I know. Vicente, I've been afraid that if people knew who I really was, they'd expect things from me that I couldn't deliver. Clint, and now? Vicente, now I'm more afraid of what happens if I keep hiding. Vicente sets the mop aside and extends his hand to Clint. Vicente, conted. My name is Dr. Vicente Morales. I used to be a professor of linguistics at Georgetown University. I was a prisoner of war in Vietnam. I've been an alcoholic and a janitor and a coward. But today, for the first time in 40 years, I remembered what it feels like to be useful. Clint shakes his hand. Clint, my name is Clint Eastwood. I'm someone who believes in second chances. And I'm honored to meet you, Dr. Morales. They stand together on the courthouse steps as the last light fades from the sky. 2 men who have found in each other the possibility of redemption, purpose, and hope. Fade to black. Title card. Sometimes the most powerful voice belongs to the person who has been silent the longest. Fade out. The air hums with a controlled, vibrant energy, a testament to the daily battles fought and won within these modest walls. This isn't just an office, it's a crucible where lives are reshaped and futures forged. Legal briefs, thick as phone books, spill from every surface, desks, shelves, even precarious stacks on the floor. Their pages, dog-eared and annotated, represent countless hours of meticulous work, each word a step closer to justice. Phones ring with insistent urgency, their constant trill a rhythm of hope and desperate pleas. The walls, once bare, are now a colorful tapestry of thank you letters in dozens of languages, elegant Arabic calligraphy next to bold Cyrillic, flowing Mandarin characters beside neat Spanish script. Each framed note, a small monument to a life touched, a testament to the profound impact of the work done here. They whisper stories of new beginnings, of families reunited, of freedom found. Dr. Vicente Morales sits at his desk, the centerpiece of this bustling scene. Gone is the utilitarian janitor's cart, replaced by a state-of-the-art translation station. It gleams with technological sophistication. Multiple computer screens display a kaleidoscope of legal documents in Spanish, Arabic, Russian, Mandarin, and French, their text dense with the intricacies of international law. Sleek headsets, coiled and waiting, lie beside a specialized keyboard designed for rapid language switching. This setup is more than just equipment, it's an extension of Vicente himself, a physical manifestation of his reclaimed purpose. He is clean-shaven, his face open and unburdened. His simple button-down shirt and slacks speak of understated professionalism, a stark contrast to the faded janitor's uniform he once wore. His posture is remarkably different, straighter, imbued with a quiet confidence that radiates from within. The man who once hid behind a mop, shrinking from the world, is utterly gone. In his place sits someone who has not only reclaimed his dignity, but has found a profound new purpose, a powerful voice that had been silenced for far too long. On his desk, nestled amidst the organized chaos of legal work, is a small, cherished framed photograph. It captures a moment of pure, unadulterated joy. The three families from the courthouse, all of them beaming, their faces alight with the sheer relief of freedom. It's a constant, tangible reminder of the impact he can have, the lives he can touch. Next to it, a crisp, official letter from Georgetown University lies open, its elegant letterhead announcing an offer, a prestigious position as a visiting professor in their new refugee advocacy program. It represents not just an academic opportunity, but a chance to shape the future of a cause he now holds so dear. The office door opens with a soft click, and Clint Eastwood enters, carrying 2 steaming cups of coffee. He moves with a familiar, unhurried grace, his presence a steady anchor in Vicente's vibrant new world. "How many today?" Clint asks, his voice a low rumble, an almost ritualistic inquiry. Vicente doesn't even look up from the screen, his fingers flying across the specialized keyboard. 14 cases, 5 different languages, 3 asylum hearings, 6 family reunification petitions, 5 citizenship applications. He recites the figures with a practiced ease, a master of his domain. "And?" Clint prompts, a slight arch to his eyebrow. Vicente finally meets his gaze, a subtle, contented smile playing on his lips. "And all 14 people went home with hope instead of fear." The words are simple, but they carry the weight of profound impact, of lives irrevocably changed for the better. Clint sets one of the coffee cups on Vicente's desk, its warmth a comforting presence, and takes a seat across from him. He doesn't need an invitation. It's a familiar routine between them. "The Georgetown offer?" Clint asks, his eyes flicking to the letter on the desk. Vicente picks up his coffee, taking a slow, thoughtful sip. "I'm thinking about it. Part-time teaching, part-time translation work, best of both worlds, really." He gestures vaguely, the words carrying a hint of a dilemma. "What's holding you back?" Clint's question is direct, cutting through the pleasantries. Vicente gestures around the office, a sweeping motion that encompasses the ringing phones, the stacks of waiting cases, the silent stories embedded in the legal documents. His gaze is warm, almost reverent. These people, this work. I'm needed here. The conviction in his voice is palpable. "You'd be needed there too," Clint counters, his voice laced with gentle persuasion. "Think about how many future lawyers and translators you could train. How many more people you could help indirectly by empowering others to do this very work." His gaze is steady, encouraging Vicente to see beyond the immediate, to consider the broader ripple effect of his influence. Vicente sips his coffee, the warmth spreading through him as he considers Clint's words. The idea of teaching, of mentoring, of shaping the next generation of advocates takes root in his mind. You know, Vicente begins, his voice softer now, reflective. 6 months ago, I thought my story was over. I thought I was invisible, worthless, used up. He recalls the dark days with a distant sorrow, a shadow of the past that no longer has power over him. And now? Clint prompts, his voice gentle. Vicente's gaze lifts, his eyes bright with a newfound light. Now I think maybe the most important chapter is just beginning. There's a quiet wonder in his voice, a sense of exciting possibilities stretching out before him. He picks up the Georgetown letter again, running his thumb over the formal script, reading the words as if for the first time, each one resonating with meaning. Clint, Vicente continues, his voice hushed. I want to ask you something. Go ahead, Clint replies, his attention unwavering. That day in the courthouse, you weren't there by accident, were you? Vicente's question hangs in the air, a long-held suspicion finally voiced. Clint's expression doesn't change, remaining impassive, but something almost imperceptible shifts in his eyes. A flicker of acknowledgement, a subtle softening around the edges. What makes you say that? Clint's voice is even, betraying nothing. I've been thinking about it for 6 months, Vicente explains, his voice gaining momentum as he connects the dots. About how you happened to be there. About how you knew exactly what to say to those families, to the judge. About how you had all the right contacts to help me get back on my feet, to find this place, to rediscover everything. He looks around the vibrant office, a profound gratitude in his eyes. Sometimes things just work out, Clint offers, his usual laconic reply. Vicente shakes his head slowly, a knowing smile curving his lips. And sometimes guardian angels wear worn leather jackets and speak in gravelly voices. The words are delivered with a gentle reverence, a quiet certainty. Clint finishes his coffee, setting the empty cup down with a soft click. He stands to leave, his movements unhurried, purposeful. Vicente? He says just as he turns. Yeah, Vicente responds, looking up. Take the Georgetown job. Train the next generation. Teach them that language isn't just about words. It's about building bridges between people who desperately need to understand each other. Clint's voice carries a depth of conviction, a wisdom born of experience. And you? What will you do? Vicente asks, a hint of curiosity in his voice. What I always do, Clint replies, his gaze steady. Keep my eyes open. Keep watching for people who need someone to believe in them, even when they can't believe in themselves. Clint heads for the door, his hand on the knob, then stops. He turns back, his eyes meeting Vicente's. You never know who's watching, Vicente. You never know who might need to see that it's possible to start over, to matter again, to find your voice after years of silence. His words are a parting gift, a profound insight into his motivations. Vicente's eyes widen, a dawning comprehension in their depths. Is that what this was about? Showing someone else that redemption is possible? Clint offers a faint, almost imperceptible smile. Maybe. Or maybe it was about showing you. Clint opens the door and steps out, leaving Vicente alone in the bustling, hopeful office. Clint. Vicente's voice is a quiet plea, a spontaneous outpouring of gratitude. Clint pauses, looking back. Yeah? Thank you. For seeing me when I couldn't see myself. The words are heartfelt, raw with emotion. Clint's gaze softens, a rare warmth in his eyes. Thank you for remembering who you were when everyone else forgot." And then, Clint is gone, the door closing softly behind him, leaving Vicente alone with his translations, his renewed hope, and his newfound understanding that sometimes the most powerful thing a person can do is refuse to remain invisible when others desperately need them to be seen. He picks up the Georgetown letter one more time, his fingers tracing the elegant script, the promise of a new future in his grasp. With a decisive breath, he reaches for his phone, a newfound determination in his movements to call and accept the position. As he dials, we see him through the office window, no longer a janitor hiding in the shadows, retreating from the world. He is illuminated by the natural light, a beacon of purpose. He is a teacher, a translator, a bridge between worlds, visible and proud, and finally, completely, gloriously himself. His story, far from over, has just found its most vital, impactful chapter.